A pleasant day to everyone. I am EDUARDO SICAD ATONDUCAN from Bachelor of Science and Social Work, Section 2A from PPC campus. And now I'm going to share my learnings and insights for every topic that we have discussed from week 1 to week 17. So in week 1, we have an orientation regarding the subject on how and what the flow of the subject throughout this semester. And also in week 1, we discussed the knowledge foundation of social work. So in this discussion, I learned that where can we locate community organizing in the knowledge foundation of social work. So in week 1, we have also the activity which is meet new friends, think, pair, and share. So in this activity, I learned how to interact and communicate to my classmates and different campuses in PPC campus and at the main campus, which is in Aberlan. So I learned different stories from my classmates on their challenges, their setbacks, just to survive the subject in the whole semester. And also we discussed our reason why we took up this program. So that's the learnings that I have learned in the week 1. So in week 2 is all about the concept of community. So in this week, I learned how to know the target community in creating a community organizing. So in this week, also I learned the different definitions of community from different authors. So also I learned the different types of communities such as geographical, identification and interest, collective relationships of an individual, identification through membership to a sector, virtual community, development-based community. So yun yung mga different types of community. And also kung paano magkaroon ng community organizing different sa mga shared goals, shared ideas ng mga tao in a certain community. So at different kinds of community organizing na kinakandak ng isang social work or ng isang practitioner sa isang komunidad. So also I learned that the community can be categorized into two, which is community as locality and community as relationship. So also in this week, I learned the function of community. First, the function of community, which is production, distribution, and consumption. So second, socialization. Third, we have social control. Fourth, we have social participation, and we have mutual support, and last. So that's the learnings that I have learned in week 2. So in week 3 to 4, we have the historical development of community organizing. So throughout these 2 weeks, we have a lot of readings that we have read. In general, I learned the historical development of community organizations, such as yung kung paano ito nag-evolve sa Pilipinas. In our history, the Filipino had already done in making community organization or community organizing, and they succeed, such as they succeed in fighting our country to the yung mga nananakop sa atin. So from that, doon na nagsimula yung community organizing na tinatawag, which is we fight for what we believe in, and Filipinos have strong stance in making this community organizing is all about fighting the shared goals, shared ideas ng mga tao sa isang komunidad. So yun yung natutunan ko sa week 3 to 4, which is the historical development of community organization. So in week 5 to 6, we have the theoretical base of community organization, or the so-called community organizing. So in these weeks, I learned the different definition of community organizing from different authors. But in general, I learned the different learnings, such as the elements of organizing work, which is: first, we have training and education; second, formation of people's organization; and third, we have mobilization of resources. So also I learned the global definition of social work profession. And also in these weeks, I learned the code of ethics of the Philippines Association of Social Work Incorporation. So also I learned in these weeks, which is the topic that we discussed, I learned also about the values and community practice, so which is the respect for human rights, social responsibility, and social justice. In addition to that, I learned the guiding principles and community organizing na dapat ginagawa ng isang practitioner once she or he conduct a community organizing in a certain community. So also I learned the objectives of community organizing, kung yung objectives ng community organizing, kung bakit nga ba kinakandak ng isang social work or ng isang practitioners ang community organizing sa isang komunidad. So which is matulungan yung mga tao to uphold the basic rights and interests, and to also to develop the awareness of their potential na mga tao sa isang komunidad, and also to initiate actions, pagkakaroon ng mga advokasya. So yun yung objectives ng community organizing, kung bakit natin kinakandak as a practitioner or as a social work yung community organizing sa isang community. So in weeks 7 to 8, we have the 3 models and community organizing. So yung tatlong models and community organizing na yon is locality development model, social action, and social planning. So to make it short, in generals, I learned kung paano i-apply yung gantong tatlong models in making or in creating community organizing. So kung ano ba ang dapat i-apply sa different community organizing na kinakandak mo sa isang komunidad, such as for example sa isang komunidad na mayroong different issues, ano yung dapat na models yung i-apply mo doon in making community organizing. Kung dapat ba doon i-apply yung locality development model, social action, or the social planning. So but we should always remember that pwede natin itong ipagsama-sama yung tatlo in conducting a community organizing para mas lalo pang mapaganda or mapabuti yung kinalabasan ng ating gagawing community organizing. But first and foremost, we should study the different conflict or the vision na inaasahan natin afterwards of the making community organizing. So in these weeks also, I learned about the traditional planning versus advocacy planning. So which is yung traditional planning is about conforms most closely to the idealist, rational, comprehensive model, and thus is associated with the consensus theory of society. So rational siya at nag-associate siya with the consensus theory of the society. Meanwhile, the advocacy planning is also utilize technical skills and leadership, but tends to focus on subgroup or sub-community problems, which is the neighborhoods, disadvantaged of groups, and unserved or underserved segments of community. So, and also yung advocacy planning are typically part of an organization or subsystem which sees the overall power structure as a target of action, and also community advocacy planners rather are specialists directed to change the structure power. So Also, lastly, I learned the situational relativity mixing strategies in the real world, which is we have two strategies are not executed in isolation and only rarely in the pure form appropriate in real world situation. And lastly, we have rather strategies should be mixed and phased as appropriate for specific scenarios. So, yun na nga yung sinasabi ko, pwede nating i-mix yung tatlong tawag dito, tatlong models in community organizing sa pagkakandak natin ng community organizing in a certain community. So in week 9 to 13 is all about the phases, steps of community organization process. So in these weeks, we discuss yung process na community organization. So first, we have pre-entry into the community. Second, entering the community. And third, we have integrating with the people. Fourth, we have social analysis. Fifth, we have spotting and developing indigenous leaders in the community. Sixth, we have core group formation. 7, setting up the organization. 8, we have community mobilization. And lastly, we have strengthening the organization. So in general, I learned kung paano nga ba yung process sa paggawa ng community organizing. First, I want to share na yung natutunan ko dito, first, dapat kunin mo muna yung problems and issues ng mga tao sa isang community na ikakandak mo yung community organizing. So, kumara yung problem nila is about teenage pregnancy, yung mga common problems and concerns ng isang community na nire-raise na mga tao na gusto nilang i-address. So, and also, in these weeks, I learned kung paano nga ba i-identify, process and identification the problems, issues, and concern. Kung paano mo nga ba ma-identify yung mga concerns and issues ng mga tao sa isang community bago ka gumawa ng isang community organizing. First, we should, syempre, magagawa tayo ng, mag-conduct tayo ng survey sa mga tao. Ipapa-raise natin sa kanila yung mga concerns nila na gusto nating na gusto nilang ma-address, and tayo naman as a practitioners, we should make ways to address that social issues and concerns that they confront. So in week 14 to 15, we have discussed the typologies, trends, and approaches and community organizing. So first and foremost, I learned the generalist approach, which is approach to social work practice, risk, and 4 major premises. So in addition to that, I learned also in this topic the process and the importance of community organizing through participatory action research. So also I learned the community organizing and micro enterprise development, which refers in any small scale economic endeavor involving the production and the distribution of goods and services. So also, we discussed about the program-based organizing. For example, yung mga programs or livelihood such as health, education, and culture. So, third, we have faith-based organizing, which is involved the religion, which is the basic Christian communities or the community organizing. So, and addition to that, we have gender perspective in community organizing. Ito naman nagre-refers about the gender. For example, in women. So, in this generation or in ours, in this 21st century, women are already empowered because they believe that they are not just women. They don't need label as mother, sister, friends, but they can also did kung ano man ang nagagawa ng mga kalalakihan. So, which is truly empowered ng mga kababaihan sa ngayong henerasyon. So, in addition, we have about the community-driven development. And also, we have the community-based disaster risk management. So ito naman is nagre-refers naman siya in times na mayroong crisis, disaster calamities na nangyayari or mayroon sa isang komunidad. So they are always there to help the community in times of crisis. So also we have here the community-based natural resource management. So yung community-based natural resources, which is the central tenet of the community-based natural resources management, is that natural resource management is better addressed with participation and empowerment of local communities. And also the empowerment means that people in the community themselves have the power to decide how resources should be managed. And also the main objective of community-based natural resource management is poverty alleviation. So yung community or community-based natural resource management is nagre-refers doon para ma-less or ma-elevate yung poverty base doon sa mga natural resources na mayroon sa isang community rather. So lastly, we have week 16 to week 17. So in these 2 weeks, we discussed the community organizers. So first and foremost, I learned the roles and function of organizers. And also, we have here the organizers' major functions. So first, as facilitator. So nagfa-facilitate tayo ng mga individual and group to strengths and helps maximize weakness and conflicts. And also, we assess individual and groups to respond to their common interest. So second, we have as a community organizer, also as a trainer, we assess those key leaders and training others, yung mga nakikitaan natin na mga individual na nakikitaan natin na maging sila ay maging potential leaders. So nagiging trainer din tayo. So in addition, we have also as advocate, nag-a-advocate din tayo para matulungan yung mga tao sa pag-articulate ng kanilang ng critical issues. Also, we are a researcher, which is nagkakandak session tayo ng social analysis, engage in participatory research wherein people become co-investigators. So, we are also as a planner, nagpaplano to help systematize groups action to attain desired goals. So, ito naman yung naging catalyst din tayo, which is nag-initiate tayo ng debate and action regarding the critical problem. So which is tayo yung we can be the voice for those voiceless people. So tayo din yung tumatayo para doon sa mga taong less empowered or walang kakayahang ipaglaban yung sarili nila. So ini-empower natin sila at tumutulong tayo sa kanila para i-uplift sila, para i-empower yung mga tao. So and also I learned the fundamental qualities, which is commitment to people's interests and appropriate organizing skills. So lastly, we have here, I learned also the essential qualities that can help in organizing work, which is we have 8 qualities. First, we have irreverence. So second, we have sense of humor, has vision, tenacity, flexibility, a genuine love for the people, critical thinking, and ability to acculturate. So yun yung mga essential qualities that can help in social and organizing works para magkaroon ng magandang kinalabasan yung community organizing sa pamamagitan ng pag-facilitate ng isang practitioner o ng isang social works. So that's the learnings and insight that I have learned from the week 1 to week 17 from every topic that we have discussed throughout this semester. So I hope that you gain a knowledge from my share insights and learnings that I discussed. That's all. Thank you.